Hi everyone, I am the Sarcastic Sloth, and welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be discussing Eugenia Cooney and basically the entire mess that's surrounding her at the moment. First off, what I want to say is this is a bit of a hard video to do. It's going to be handling a bit of a prickly pear really, because not only does it involve Eugenia Cooney, which her in herself comes with a lot of things to navigate, let's say, but also it's also to do with the just flat out mess that she's found herself in terms of her moderator and just overall platform situation at the moment. I want to say straight off the bat, because I do know how fanatical people can be about Eugenia, this is not a hate video. I do not hate her. There is no hate from me on this one here. However, that doesn't mean that if actions have been made, then we can't criticize them at the end of the day. And then hopefully she can take that into account and learn from it. Has that been the case in the past? Not really. However, maybe if we bang our head against that particular door enough times, maybe it will open, who knows. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to say that straight off the bat. This is not a hate video. I do not hate her. I do not know her. It's just basically because there's a few things that have come up in this situation that I feel I can highlight, because obviously a lot of people have done videos on this particular subject, but then there's also something that I feel like I can add somewhat, just because in some way, in terms of how she looks at things, that's something that I've been through myself. Not the eating, but you'll see what I mean if you actually go through the video and listen to what I've got to say. That would be good, wouldn't it? So, funky intro out of the way. Without further ado, let's crack on. So, as always, everything I'm going to be discussing today are my own thoughts and opinions on the topic. So, if you don't like that, then ta-ra! So, what I'm going to look at first off is basically her, and I heard this topic, I watched Katie Ionita's video. If I'm not pronouncing that right, then I am sorry. I'm pretty sure I got it right though. I probably didn't, but oh well. She used the term in referring to Eugenia's mental health, or an aspect of, as toxic positivity. Now, that really struck a nerve with me, because I can see why you want, or anyone wants to, and not just her, not just Eugenia, wants to look at the world through rose-tinted glasses, to think that if everything will be fine if we just pretend like we live on Lollipop Lane. Basically, if I'm nice to everyone, everyone will be nice to me. That is the thought process when people are overly nice in that instance, or what can be perceived as overly nice. It depends on your outlook on life, I mean, my name is Sarcastic Sloth, so you can probably see where I am on that particular spectrum. I don't like to be 100% cynical all of the time. However, I find that it is a lot more, just the way the world is. It's a lot more warranted more often than not. You try to be nice, you try to be positive, you try to greet people the way you want to be greeted and treat people the way you want to be treated. But overall, the world doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Because if it was the case that you just had to be nice, oh God, why wouldn't the world just be a utopia? And unfortunately, I don't believe that the utopia is ever going to exist. And the reason I say that is because you can't account for things like psychopaths, you can't account for sociopaths, you can't account for people who are just plain evil. There's a reason why I watch things like Forensic Files and things like this. It's not because I'm off my head, it's because I think it is very worthwhile to acquaint yourself with what basically ultimate evil looks like, because there's so many instances that you can think of where, watching the news over in the States, especially when I was over there last many moons ago, but you'd have a lot of a young family found slain in their home, no one knows why, all the neighbors that say they were the nicest people they ever met, they had no enemies. You can't account for the just out of the blue crazy evil, basically. You just can't account for it. So with that being said, I feel as well that maybe she, just from what I'm observing as well, and we can only ever go from what we're seeing on the screen at the end of the day. Obviously we don't live with her, so we can't say for sure, but I think it's a safe bet to say that, she probably grew up almost in a bit of a fairy tale land, in the way that, she's been sheltered, and if I'm treat everyone nice and they treat me nice, and then obviously she goes onto the internet and people like that particular aspect of her personality. However, that's when you let the wolves in, you know what I mean? I actually have sort of a real life example via myself. So when I was, oh God, how old was I? 22, I found out I had Fabry disease. So at that point, you know, I decided I was going to be ridiculously nice to everyone I met, because life was too short, and I was going to greet everyone with a hug, and everyone was sound until proven otherwise. That was my basic philosophy, I guess you could say. You speak as you find, you get as you give, and all of those kinds of little mantras, and it works. 80% of the people you come across, they think that's awesome, they think that's a really nice trait for you to have, they love the fact that you've got that, and they won't fuck you over for it. And then there's a percentage of people who see it as weakness, and then there's a percentage of people who are just dark individuals, and it doesn't matter how nice you are to them, but they'll steal from you, they'll, you know, talk shit about you behind your back, they'll just basically try and screw you over in a myriad of different ways. And that's basically what happened to me. So then I got to the point where I became a bit more cynical, and it's more of a case of it has to be proven to me that person is a nice person before I go give him all of myself, all of my niceness to them. Does any of that make sense? I think it does. The thing when you hold on to that relentlessly, and also you have a huge platform like Eugenia does, and also on top of that, you almost have, well, it's how she makes her money, isn't it? So it's basically a business. So niceness doesn't work in the world of business, does it? I mean, it attracts people in terms of, you know, people who want to watch her channel, but how she runs her channel isn't just like, oh, let's all be nice and, you know, it's My Little Pony or, you know, some fairy tale land. It doesn't work that way, because there are people who come in and they're nice to your face, and then who knows what they're doing in the background. It could be running amok. Oh, but they were really nice to me, so they've got to be a nice person to everyone. It doesn't work that way. The world does not work that way. I probably sound like a real cynical git talking like this. I understand that, you know, sometimes you've got to be as well. Sometimes you've got to be a bit cynical for your own protection as well as protection of others, because you go around trusting everyone, all of sundry, and you let some wolves come into your den. What's going to happen? Well, what happened to Eugenia, unfortunately. But then also I feel this has a knock-on effect. So if you have people around you who are telling you that you're amazing, you're the best, and then you have some people who are there going, listen, Eugenia, this is actually, we're concerned for you. You're going to want to lean towards the people who are approving your behavior over the people who are saying, listen, something's not right. And unfortunately, it really doesn't take much for sycophants to worm their way in when you're that way inclined, when you want to only hear positive things. So anyone who comes at you and says, listen, there's a serious issue here, is perceived as a bully. The whole issue I have with her is seeing everything through this hyper positive outlook, and then that actually has a very dark and corroding effect on the thing that she's built. She spent a lot of time building this entire empire that she has. So it's easier for her to pretend that like there's certain mods who are nice to her, therefore they have to be nice to everyone else. It's easy to believe that because it's the nice thing, and it's the, you know, it puts her mind to rest over something that, quite frankly, is dark. I've said it before, I don't wish anyone ill in their careers on this platform or any other platform, really. You know, it's just, if you can't see it and everyone else can, then what do you want? Like, how many times do we have to say this? How many times do we have to say you need to get help for X, Y, and Z? How many times do people have to say, listen, these aren't the right people? It really doesn't take much for someone to pretend to be nice. It really doesn't take much at all. It really doesn't. So when you're perceiving everyone as a big meanie because they're not aligning with niceness, which in your mind is rightness, well, then it becomes very easy to just go down a downward spiral then, I guess. Her unwillingness to see this aspect of things has cost her fans, and I've got no doubt in my mind it's going to cost her more, because if a certain amount of people have come out in relation to this in the first place, do you think the rest of them are going to keep quiet? No, it's what has a knock-on effect. It's like, well, and rightly so, these people speak up, And hey, they spoke up, so I can too. And at the end of the day, Eugenia hasn't had a very good reaction to all of this. It's taken her days to address these things. Now, if I was in a situation to the point where, say for instance, I had moderators and they were supposed to be looking and aligning themselves with the way I want things to be run. I don't want dark behaviours on my platform. If I found out that someone was potentially being abusive, that guy or girl would be gone. You wouldn't see them for dust, and I would have reported them to whoever I need to. I wouldn't want it around my platform. I wouldn't want it around anyone else's platforms either. And like I say, this isn't hate. I'm not sending hate. If you watch my video and you've interpreted this as hate, then you're just looking for something, because I don't intend it to be that way. However, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you like it's a normal thing for someone to just live in such a bubble. It's not even like a bubble, it's like a fucking hardened rock of denial. And to the point where it's hurting kids who are in her fandom now. It's not cool, man, like under any stretch of the imagination. And if you're one of those people who go around and say that those kids are liars, then I don't want you watching my videos. Go fuck yourself. Seriously. This was a hard video for me to even sort of get round to doing, because it's a hard one to navigate. There's things you can't say, obviously, on here, which is ridiculous. Because I'm not bashing anyone, but obviously there's people who do, so that's why the rules are there in the first place. But it's just a joke when you think about it. It's just an absolute joke that, like, YouTube, I'm never getting monetized, because I'm like a good portion of my videos have slagged them off, but whatever, man. I just feel that, like, they pick the weirdest things to get behind and to monetize, from abusive family channels to a girl basically destroying herself in many different facets now. It's not just the body issues now. There's a lot of different things going on here, and she needs help. And to see her at one point, she was getting help, and then the sycophants just put her back into the position that she was before. It's frustrating. If I was her friend, then God almighty, I'd be so... I watched a video on Jacyln Glenn yesterday, I think it was. I just felt so bad for her, because at the end of the day, all she did was try to help her. She just tried to help her, and then it was just denied that they were even good friends in the first place. It's tragic. It's really tragic that people are endorsing this. I mean, there's 90% of her comments are like, please get some help. What is going on? By doing this, you're promoting this to little girls. And she's aware that she uses words like triggering in relation to her illness. But then the next breath, she's like, no, everything's fine, I'm fine. That's why I can't watch a lot of it. But, when it comes to a point where this is something that it's not singular to her, there are predatory people who genuinely find these people, these nice people, to leech onto, and then to basically say, look that way, whilst over this way, they're doing whatever they want, whatever darkness they choose to engage in with that person's fandom. And we've seen it time and time again. 2020 has just been a year of it, really, hasn't it? It's gross, man. It's gross. I think I've made my point anyway. If you've got anything else to say in the comments, that would be fantastic. If you've got anything you want to add, you want to, tell me I'm wrong, fill your boots, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell. I never say that. Hit the bell so you get all the notifications. And, take care out there.